Hello there YouTube, this is Zookeeper Steve, and welcome to episode 8 of our Re-Arc Park. That's the recently extinct Animal Recovery Center, and today we're going to be doing a display for an animal that is very recently extinct. Those are the Steven Island Wrens. First of all, best name for an island ever, Steven's Island. I'm totally for that. But more importantly, these little guys are sort of famous because, according to legend, they were actually brought into extinction by one individual, and that individual was Tibbles, the cat of the lighthouse keeper on Steven's Island. Now that's probably apocryphal. The evidence actually suggests that there were probably a whole group of feral cats that hunted these little guys to extinction. But that is the story that we're going to go with, because that's a much better story. That is all Tibble's fault. But anyway, these guys are just cute little songbirds. They're kind of unique because they are actually flightless passerines, which obviously you don't experience too much. Most songbirds have the ability to fly. But they sort of got to this little island off the north coast of New Zealand, and there were no natural predators there, so they just lost the ability to fly. It's kind of the same thing that happened to the dodo bird. Just because it's evolutionary advantageous to not fly, because flying takes a lot of calories, and if nothing's trying to hunt you, the person that burns the less calories tends to win. So that's what happened to them, and when they were on the mainland of New Zealand, they were probably hunted out by rats that were introduced to it by humans, and so by the time historical times come around, the only place they were left were this Steven's Island, or unfortunately, even a single house cat would pose a big enough threat to get rid of these cute little guys. But we're going to bring them back today, and it's going to be a smaller exhibit because they are very, very teeny tiny animals. But I figured I could put them in here on this northern area, just to the east of our Barbary lands. So we'll go ahead and get that going today. And I sort of wanted to do a smaller exhibit that would fit in here, but this also gave me the advantage of trying to sort of recreate their habitat in the fact that we're going to be putting a little lighthouse on this, inside this exhibit, to make it look like it's actually back to Steven's Island. And I should mention that both the lighthouse I'm using today and the actual animals I'm going to be using, I think they were both on Whalebone's side. I just found them, and I found that they're really, really cool, because not only do they look great, not only do they come with the little lighthouse that actually looks like the Steven Island lighthouse, but they also took the time with the rigging so that, because these are flightless birds, the way they get around is kind of hopping, and they actually altered the animations to make these little guys hop. So big shout out to Whalebone for some amazing encoding here. Anyway, let's start talking about the exhibit. You might have seen there I experimented, or almost put down, sort of a couple different shelters for them, but all these shelters would require them to fly, which I didn't want to do because, like I said, they were flightless birds, so I'm just going to leave that out here. And so I decided instead, just go ahead, put down a little bit of food and water on either side, just to encourage them to walk around their little island. Obviously, I put a little water barrier in front of the island here to, in front, I keep calling it the island, in the exhibit, to simulate an island. And now I'm going to build a little house for them on the inside here, a little area for the zookeepers, but I'm going to disguise it as a lighthouse. So there we go, dropping in that nice big lighthouse there, which looks fantastic. And then I'm going to build a little inner cage, and I'm going to, if I remember right here, we're going to actually extend this out, so that's there. Perfect. Very good, very good. And entrances for the zookeepers, and we'll cover this up to make them look nice. I think at this point I forgot that the doors, or the door covers, are actually in the buildings for some reason. I really don't know why, but that's where they end up. So just drop these guys in real quick here. And I'm glad that the lighthouse is white, because that matches really well with the way we've already been doing our exhibits here. Since we went with those white borders earlier, it just kind of worked out really, really well. So I was super delighted when I found this. But we'll go ahead and build in a little entrance for our wrens here. Just like that. Smooth that out again. Perfect. Great, great, great. And drop in a tank wall so we can theoretically open and close that if we need to. And again, I would almost put in that Enrichment Shelter, but it would also require our wrens to fly, and I wanted to keep it as an exhibit for flightless birds, because Like I said, I was really enchanted with the little hopping motion I realized these guys had, and I wanted to preserve that as much as possible. We'll lay down some hay inside here, so it's like they've got a little nest. Unfortunately, these guys don't interact. I tried it. They don't interact with the nest that comes with the Aves pack, so I couldn't use that. But just throwing down the hay looks pretty good. And then for the background here, if you actually take a look at Stevens Island, and maybe I'll throw a picture up here, I haven't decided yet, but if you actually look at it, it is fairly like gray rocky. So that's kind of, I was trying to find a background that would match that. Eventually I just kind of went with putting in the rocks here, as you will see in a moment. Spoiler alert. But I think that's actually probably the better way to go, because I just couldn't find anything that looks exactly like the island anyway, so let's just go ahead and disguise it with some of these beautiful coastal rocks that work so well. Throw that back there. And I wanted to put in at least some of these native trees here. Again, trying to make it look as much actually like Stevens Island, or at least like a diorama of Stevens Island as possible. And unfortunately, these Wrens, while I do love the models, they didn't have any suggested plant life. I mean, they have suggested trees, obviously, but they don't have suggested plants, and I didn't want to leave it completely barren. So I just went ahead and grabbed that grass that we've used elsewhere in the zoo here, and throw down some rocks in the middle, just kind of break up the viewing area. Just like this, grabbing, grabbing, and just build up the grass. Again, if you put in rocks in the middle of a display like that, I do recommend putting some plants around it, just because that's how that would naturally form. The seeds from the grass would hit the rock and fall down on the ground, and they'd be more likely to germinate there. So that's why that happens in nature, and that's why you should do it in your zoo if you're trying to make a realistic display. Just pro tips all around. Free pro tips all around. Enjoy them. They're yours. I give them to you freely. And back here, just careful not to mess up the hitboxes for our Zookeeper Entrance. We did have to build a little stairway there and everything to get that to work. And we'll bring in some more rocks here. Like I said, it is a fairly rocky Stevens Island. Looks like it's mostly gray rock. I'm not a geologist, so I can't tell you exactly what kind of rocks those are. I can tell you they were large and gray and looked very, very hard. I do not want to fall down on them. I feel like they would scrape my knee. Alright, just filling in with some ferns here. Again, I don't know if that's accurate to the island, but it looked way too sparse without them. I'll take a quick check to make sure everything's looking right. It's pretty good. And we'll delete this out. Just kind of get rid of that for some artificiality, or make it realistic. And now I'm going to drop some rocks around the corners there. And then this is just kind of to suggest viewing portals. I'm not going to bother to put in actual different portals, but this kind of gives that suggestion here. Plus it's a little more natural that there would be sort of a rocky shore. And I'm going to extend this fence out. That's very good. Very good. Doing fantabulous so far. Let's put our path in. I'm going to switch back to the dirt path. I decided to make that brick path just in our Barbary lion area, which of course will cause problems later that I haven't foreseen when I was doing this, but that's okay. Extending our white flowers out, and extending the tiger lilies behind them. Very good. And going ahead and just kind of extending the Barbary lion pathway here. I'm just trying to kind of make it look like it was natural pre-planned. Obviously, I did not know I was doing Stevens Island Wrens or what I was going to be doing after the lions, so I'm going to have to tweak that area quite a bit to get it to the point where I'm happy with it. So, exciting times await us is what I'm trying to say, because I know that's what everyone wants to see. But you'll just have to wait. For now, we're going to have to watch me put the roof on our lighthouse here. I didn't go too super detailed with the lighthouse. I wanted to keep the exhibit small, and that means I need a relatively small lighthouse. So go ahead and slide it across here, which of course is going to dig a hole in the ground again, but fortunately we didn't have any major problems with that when the game sort of glitched out and dug the holes. I could always just flatten them out, so it worked out really, really well. Really, really well. And that's right, I was thinking if I was able to fix that. So I had to change the paths from curved paths to straight paths, and that's why it's got that little extra like land there along the side of the actual exhibit. But now we'll go ahead and spend some time focusing on getting this transition from the Barbary lion area to our Steven Islands Wrens correct. So first thing I wanted to do was make it so that it was an even breadth on either side, which meant we had to extend this out a little bit and create a little bit more of a courtyard. And then use these brick fences, which I decided to use pretty much exclusively in the Barbary lions again. Just kind of have their own separate little area. That's fine with me. Of course, we can always go back and expand that area and put another creature in it to the south, but for now we're just going to make it just the home of the lions. Just going through here, and I kind of decided I wanted to either, I think I was thinking maybe an archway at the time, but eventually I just decided to put up some nice trees to kind of help mark the area and create a faux archway there. Usually that's the better way to go, because the archways in this game can be useful, but I find that they're always kind of a little too artificial for my taste. So instead I grabbed these gray birch trees, and then we're going to have to do a little tweaking to round things off that we need rounded off. And the problem is here that I've got kind of a straight pathways and rounded fences, so I just had to make that correction to the fences there. Basically cut off those little extensions that were turning inwards. But now we've got some trees in, let's go ahead and find the... I'm going to put down a little garden gnome, just to make it cute. No reason not to, just putting out a garden gnome. But what we really wanted to do here was put those sort of protective things around the trees. I wasn't going to fence off that area, so I wanted to make it so it looks like the trees have some type of natural protection there. And then once that's down, we'll just fill in this rest of the area with that grass. Just get that going there. Perfect. Perfection. And I noticed this path was off here, so we'll change that real quick to make those straights. Great, and now it looks like I was planning on this all wrong. Hopefully it looks like this was the plan the whole time. And then we'll just use the rock fence here to create that, fill in the gap there with those juniper bushes. And I realized at this point I had almost forgotten the rock fence over here, so we'll put that down. And we'll get rid of these fence pathways that are going to block our zookeepers from walking up the stairs. Perfect. Perfect. So far, so good. Just a nice little flare touch. I went ahead and put in one of these horizontal... Oh, nope. First I put in these fences. Never mind. To be continued. We're going to put in a couple of benches just to have our guests something to sit on, but there we go. I'm going to put in one of these vertical clipboards here to make it look like our zookeepers are taking notes, and readjust the tree so it's not poking through the roof. And one of the things that I also had trouble with was deciding exactly what our guest area was going to look like around the pathways here. Because these are very, very tiny animals, I wanted to make sure that you had a good look. Eventually I'm going to come across the great idea of putting one of those viewing, like glasses, goggles, whatever you want to call those. But the area just south there that I briefly circled on the map, I really don't know what I do want to do with that yet, so I'm going to leave it mostly empty. I try a few things out here, just kind of a couple benches with a fence, but that's just kind of a sketch. I'm not committing to that, so that won't be. But we'll go ahead and start throwing these wrens down real quick. Not throwing them down, that would be mean. It would hurt them. Why would you throw the wrenches down? Throw the wrenches down. Throw the wrens down. That would be very, very bad. Don't throw wrenches at the wrens. That would be even worse. But now we'll go in here and just kind of, I thought that area was a little sparse, drop a little bit more foliage towards the background, kind of make it look a little bit more awesome. Grab our zookeeper here. And there we go, Wren Keeper Butch. And I had to kind of drop a couple of these things because of the hitboxes, but we got it more or less. They should be able to cover everything important. And now going through here and put in these wooden binoculars on either side should help you. Very good. And at this point I decided that we're going to try to do a little something more with this area here. And I ended up using this fence I haven't used yet, but I've always thought looked pretty good. It's like this low alpine forest fence. I thought it would work okay because it's got the white in it, and it's a little more decorated than other fences because it also has the brown. Alright, let's do our final walkthrough here. Obviously we're starting off at our Barbary Lion exhibit, and now we can exit here to the west. I'm kind of iffy about those tree protectors. I'll have to think about that, but I'm okay with our garden gnome down there. And I see a happy face from our Wrens, so let's go ahead and take a look. Zoom in, enhance. There we go. There they are. Hey, little guys. And there you can see that little hopping animation I was talking before, which of course is how birds actually do walk on the ground. And since they are flightless birds, I thought that was pretty cool. Sometimes the birds all tend to walk like peacocks, but this one worked out really, really well. Peacocks, if you don't know, have more of an even stride, which is true of all, like, fowls and things like that. But passerines, like these little songbirdie guys here, do that little hopping thing, so I was really, really happy when I saw them hopping around. And do-do-do, jump, jump, jump. Doing very, very well. Great. And I think that's a pretty cool exhibit since we did get that lighthouse in there. I won't be putting in any feral cats because, well, we don't need another Tibbles in the world. But yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with that. Let's go ahead around into the Zookeeper area here. And it's just going to be up this staircase. Well, if I could actually walk into the staircase instead of walking to the left of the staircase, let's do that. Back out, go again. There we go. I know the think you drunk I am. Okay, and into the lighthouse. And we can see our little cage here to the left. Very good. Very good, looking pretty good. Obviously we can walk into the cage if we need to. And the birdies can get in and out through that little hole there. And I think that's pretty good. Let's go back out here and go into the main exhibit though. So spacebar to open the gate. Fantastic. And here are our little Wrens. Looks like they're getting by pretty good. So there you go. It's kind of a simple little exhibit here for a cute little animal. I think I did a pretty good job getting sort of the feel that I was recreating the natural, very specific habitat of these guys. So I'm really, really happy with that. Alright, so there we go. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. A little bit shorter because it's a smaller exhibit, but I think it really came out great, and I hope we all learned something today, namely to never trust any cats named Tribble because they will create genocide. That's really the lesson I want you to take away from that today. But thank you to walking. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, be sure to actually like the video below. You can also comment and subscribe. Those are things you could do. You don't have to, but you really should. Why wouldn't you? It's awesome. Do it. Anyway, once again, thank you for spending your time with me today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Tycooners Steve saying bye.